Hello, hello. I'm Dr. R.J. Verwain, licensed clinical psychologist, executive burnout expert, and someone who knows a thing or two about what it means to lead while low. Today, we're talking about leading while low, what high achievers don't say out loud. So, I've worked with high achievers for over 20 years, from C suite executives to judges, physicians, educators, all sorts of high achievers. And here's what I've learned: the higher you go, the harder it becomes to say, I'm not okay. So let's talk about what high achievers never say out loud, but deeply feel. Y'all ready to dive in? Let's start with this: I'm not burned out, I'm just busy. Have you said that before? Have you heard that before? Does that sound familiar? High achievers have mastered the art of high functioning burnout. You're still showing up, you're still performing, you're still checking all the boxes, but you're screaming for help deep down inside. That endless Zoom calendar, the late night emails, the strategic planning session that should have been an off day, it all starts to eat away at your peace. And the scary part, you don't even realize how low you are until your body or your relationships begin to break. So let's call it executive exhaustion. You're not tired, you're depleted. And you've told yourself over and over, I'll rest after this next project. I'll rest after this. I'll rest after that. I'll rest after I'm done with this position and I get another position. I'll rest after my child goes away to college. But after never comes. According to the Harvard Business Review, nearly 60% of leaders report feeling depleted at the end of the day. I don't mean just regular tired or like, ooh, that was a long work day, or my brain is tired, but completely depleted. This isn't just stress we're talking about. It's a chronic mismatch between your output and your oxygen. You're running at top speed in an emotional desert, and the world keeps clapping for you even as you're empty inside. When you lead while low, here's what happens. So pay attention. If you are a note taker, this is the time to take notes. When you lead while low, here's what happens. First, you stop listening to yourself. Second, you overfunction for others and underfunction for yourself. Third, you become emotionally unavailable at home. And fourth, you normalize sleep deprivation, poor nutrition, and minimal joy. I've had clients come to me thinking that they had an anxiety disorder when really they just hadn't rested in years. So let that sink in. I've also had clients, when I ask about sleep, they'll say, I get about 4 or 5 hours on average on a good day, right? That's a red flag. High achievers are taught, if I just do more, I'll feel better. More productivity, more goals, more discipline, another degree. But more doesn't cure burnout, it buries it. You can't self care your way out of chronic overload. What you need is a lifestyle shift that restores everything. We talk about self care a lot, and often there's a misnomer that self care means like a bubble bath, or that it means a massage or a getaway with your girls. While those may be components of self care, true self care fills you up when you're empty. It refills you when you're depleted. It's like true water when you're thirsty, not just something that puts a band aid over your exhaustion. Margin is the space between your load and your limit, right? It's not laziness. Here's what margin looks like. You ready? Because margin is what we're aiming for. Margin looks like saying no without guilt, creating non-negotiable white space on your calendar, or gray space. Sometimes when I talk to my clients, I'll say gray it out ahead of time. Margin looks like taking meetings at 85% energy, not 40% energy. Margin looks like letting people down strategically to protect your purpose. You weren't built to operate like a machine. You are a human being, not a human doing, right? One of my One of my favorite affirmations says that you are a human being, not a human doing. Okay. So this is where my framework, the art of balance, comes in. Most of you are probably familiar with it, but if you're not familiar with it, we talk about the art of balance. The art of balance. A is for authenticity, naming what you feel without shame, showing up as the best version of yourself every single day, or your favorite version of yourself. The R is for relentless rest, protecting your peace as a power move. And the T is for time consciousness, designing a schedule that reflects your values, not just your obligations. I tell my clients all the time, I know all of your business just by looking at your calendar. I know what you value. I know if you're balanced. I know if you're scattered. I know if you're overwhelmed. I know if your family's probably mad at you, right? I know all of that just by looking at your calendar. So the art of balance, authenticity, relentless rest, and time consciousness. This is how we stop just surviving and start leading from a full place. That's the goal. One of my clients said, Hey, Dr. RJ, the next session I want to talk about what balance is and what it looks like for me. And I'm like, Well, that's my favorite topic. Of course, we can do that. And so if I were to start that conversation right now, I would say it's about leading your family, leading your business, leading yourself from a full place. That's how you know if you're balanced. It's a constant calibration. It's not a straight across equal or equality thing that we're talking about. We're talking about a constant calibration. So let me tell you about another client I worked with, a senior VP who looked fine on paper but was falling apart on the inside. She was experiencing physical exhaustion, waking up in panic, and losing connection with her family. However, through coaching, therapy, clinical tools, we helped her reclaim her evenings. She actually got to relax, enjoy a sunset, cook dinner with her family, which is something she enjoyed, restructure her team, and most importantly, come back to herself. Now she leads from overflow, not depletion. One of my favorite things to do when I work with clients is to talk about saying no and setting boundaries. And after they set the boundaries, I'll say, So everything was okay? Of course, I know everything was okay, but I'm like, So everybody was all right? Like they figured it out on their own when you said no? Did anything fall apart? No. Right. And so that's important to remember. It may feel like everything is going to fall apart when you say no, but that's not accurate. That's a whole nother story, though. So, here are 3 takeaways to start your own reset right now. So, again, if you're a note taker, this is your chance. 3 takeaways to start your own reset. First, you want to audit your energy leaks. Where do you feel the most drained? What meetings or people need boundaries? Okay. Who fills you up? Who takes your energy away? You want to make sure you're managing that time and setting your calendar in the way where you don't have a full day of draining and a full day of just doing all the things that you dislike, but you have a mixture, a combination of the two, so that you can even out your energy flow. Be strategic and intentional about your energy flow. So first, audit your energy leaks. Uh, Patrick Lencioni talks about this all the time about your zone of competence, your zone of genius, and then what you're just really not good at or what you don't enjoy. You want to make sure you're spending most of your time in your zone of competence and your zone of genius. Of course, you're going to have to do the things you don't love from time to time, but that shouldn't be the majority of how you're spending your energy. So, first, audit your energy leaks. Second, create a 2-hour no phone block each week. Like you're not that available. Okay. Understand some of you are caretakers. I get that. There's a way to set your phone to do not disturb or to focus so that only the caretaker or the emergency number can get through. And so I'm not suggesting that you neglect your families or neglect things that must be done. However, there is a way to remain balanced and not answer all the calls that are unnecessary in that moment. Number two is create a 2-hour no phone block each week. Finally, number 3, ask yourself daily, what do I need today? And I actually ask myself that when I wake up in the morning, when I'm journaling and praying and open my blinds and drinking my water and all the things. What do I need today? Some days is I need to get organized. Like I need to pull my calendar out, sit down and really hone in or laser focus in on getting things organized, because if I'm not organized, I try to hold everything in my brain and then it gets exhausting and scattered and all of that. So you want to ask yourself daily, what do I need today? Because it'll change. Okay. So here's what I do, just in case you don't know this already. I work one to one with high achieving executives, both men and women. Most of my clients are women, but I do see quite a few men executives as well. So I work one to one with high achieving executives. I consult with companies to prevent burnout at the leadership level. I facilitate powerful workshops and retreats that create safe spaces for real restoration. So it's not just I come in, show some slides, and say goodbye. Like we're talking real restoration, real change, actionable items that people can use right away to start changing the trajectory towards burnout, right? We're coming the opposite way. We're winding that back in. So if you have been leading while low, we really should have a conversation. It's if you're watching this live, it's summertime here, and I'm a summer girl. I vacation, I take time off, I do all the things, and so I only have 5 slots for one-to-one, and I'm not just making that up. Like literally, I just have 5 slots to one-to-one. I keep my one-to-ones limited because I want to make sure that I have enough energy to be all in and that I'm not pulled here, there, and everywhere. So I have 5 one-to-one slots that are available right now. And so we should have a conversation about it. You can just go to the website, askdrrj.com. Let's see if I can probably go to this other screen and put it up here. You can actually just DM me on Instagram if you want to do that at Ask Dr. RJ. That's probably the easiest way. If you are a decision maker, here's a way that you can reach out and have a conversation. It's just text strategy 3 to 833-451-4258. Okay. So strategy 3 to 833-451-4258. But probably the easiest way or the most direct way is to just go to the website, askdrrj.com, or DM me on Instagram. Okay, because it doesn't make sense to keep leading while low. And it's a disservice if I don't talk about it. I see it over and over. High performers leading while low, giving from a place that they can't afford to give, and just on empty when just a few strategies can change that. So anyhow, I'm rambling now because there's so much I want to share with you about how one or two things really could change your way towards burnout. I know my own clients, when I teach them strategies, they're like, oh, I could have been doing this. So don't let that be you. Don't let that, oh, I could have been doing this. Go ahead and make a decision now, and make a decision on moving away towards or moving away from burnout. You don't have to keep performing while burning out. Your peace is not a luxury, it's a leadership tool. So let's reclaim your strength. Let's reclaim your margin, restore your balance, and rewrite the story of what it means to succeed. Okay. I'm Dr. RJ. I had a great time hanging out with you all really quickly today. I help high performers stop crashing and start living again. I have a teenager, so I've been hooked on the word crashing out. She probably cringes every time I say it, but I do help high performers stop crashing out. Like literally, I actually do that. But anyhow, let's have a conversation. In the meantime, be well.
RJ, you say there is an art to balancing burnout.
Absolutely. So burnout is when we're constantly going, but we're getting nowhere, right? Constantly
That
running
hamster
and
wheel
running.
effect.
That
Yeah.
hamster wheel. And I see so many women stuck there. They're overworking and not getting any rest. And so I came up with a framework called the Art of Balance. The
Okay.
A is for authenticity,
Okay.
or for relentless rest, and T is for time consciousness.
Gotcha. Let's